Hit the record button. Yo, what's up guys? RTA Tier List time, season 22. I got a list over here. I wanted to have the Battle Angels in there, of course, but the only one that I could find that had the Battle Angels in there was a list that had every freaking unit in there. So bear with me if I'm forgetting some units and anything like that. Also, I'm going to do it same thing as always, short introduction first, and then I'll head into the tier list. So introduction first thing first. I like to do these numbers rather than SS, triple S, anything like that, because the moment I say like, okay, I want to move a tier in between, I can simply say, not do that. I want to add a row above, and my row above is a number in between. Whereas if you would do SS and all that kind of shit, you don't have like an SS 0.5 that's or SS and then a small s, like no, that's the reason why I like to use those. So some other people took it over. They don't really know how to explain like why the numbers are better, because you could literally name this triple S, double S, S, A, B, C, D, blah, blah. It's literally the same thing. This only gives me the option to have tiers in between, which in my opinion makes more sense with this many units. Then I will try to make this like a podcast style as well, where I name the unit and name the position where I place them, so the number, so you can also just listen to this as podcast and background and that kind of stuff. And of course I will be using the SW ranking for checking like win rates, that kind of stuff. And keep in mind, this is my opinion, this is G3 based of my opinion. Sure, there's always a certain bias. If you watch one streamer that really hates like this one unit, no names, Leo, for example, then you might place that unit very high simply because the unit just highly counters your picks, and therefore it's a certain bias to it. So I tried, of course I will have a certain bias to all of my picks, but I try to have my bias fairly minimum. I'm also not going to be purely basing on win rate, because for that reason Onimusha would be a very low win rate, for example, or relatively low win rate in G3 and therefore a lower rank. So I'm pairing a bunch of things together and I'm going by family. So, talking about family, that's actually a hard one to start off with the Weapon Masters. Are we going to start with the Weapon Masters? It's mainly Dominic, though. No, I'm actually going to start off with just a random family I see at the top, and then I go from there to bottom. So, I am not going to start with those, that is 100% sure. I am going to start with Beast Riders, because Beast Riders are very interesting right now. So we have the Onimusha as first. Pick rate is insanely high. It's the most picked first picked, or no, it's the most picked unit. It's not the most first picked unit. Win rate is pretty high. It is stronger in the, no, it's about same in the 4v4. Also for the people that don't understand what the 4v4 means. This, if I tap this, it means like it's excluded if it's banned. So for some units you can see, for example, that they are stronger in the fight than out of the fight. So they're stronger in the pick and ban phase or stronger in the actual fight itself. So Onimusha, first of all, a very much used unit. Always placing the first few units is always somewhat slightly difficult, and from there you start evolving. At some point it's like, okay, these units are at this position, so therefore I go one up, I go one down, or anything like that. That does happen. So Onimusha, I would say her main thing why she is that strong is because she's countering one of the strongest units out there in general. So therefore I would say Onimusha very solid 90. Then we continue with a Barbara, which I would feel like is a pretty solid pick as of right now as well. If I'm not mistaken, I should be able to switch units here. Barbara, it's a unit we see more and more being picked on Swift. Good unit with a Tablo and that kind of stuff. So you do your S3, you give the Tablo rotation a turn, Tablo boosts the attack bar on the S3, and then she goes with an S2. Therefore you also see it's mainly a late pick, and therefore it's not the highest of win rates, I would say. But I would say it's a solid unit. It does need some good runes to make her shine. Mainly Swift, 100 crit rate, crit damage from artifact, that's the kind of jazz you're looking at. But Barbara, I would say for now at an 80 rank. Now we continue on with her sister, Savannah, which always has a high win rate, but her high win rate does actually have a meaning in a certain way. Whereas that it's kind of misrepresenting of how good she actually is, because she's mostly a 5th pick, and in general 5th picks have higher win rate. So that means that she will have like slightly higher win rate. It's actually lower now than most of the times. But as you can see, if she's led through at the end, it's a little bit higher win rate. Pick rate is not that much. Ban rate is pretty high though. But it is a unit I still value as a 75. It is actually a higher win rate than Barbara, but I would feel like Barbara has more application of usage. No, I would say same level. I would say same level. Then we go on with a Narsha. Also, in case you're asking, like, why are you not picking some units? At some point, we're going to get to the point where everyone is asking for random units no one is ever using. If they are below, let's say 1% pick rate, I don't have to include them if I don't want. That's my minimum 1% pick rate at least. So we have a Narsha, which is an 8% pick rate, which is actually more than the other two beast rises, which is pretty funny. G3. Freaking whales everywhere. Win rate, pretty nice. Ban rate, pretty nice. It's stronger in the match or out of the match, about same. But I think Narsha is very good. The only big downfall of Narsha is that she has the issue of getting resisted. So if her strip resists, she nearly does nothing. If her armor breaks resist, she does nearly nothing. She has 2 resistance checks on a relatively low accuracy base. So she is very good, but I feel like Marsha, since it's hard countering a whole bunch of things and more usage on Nemesis, I feel like Marsha is stronger than Narsha at this moment, which is kind of sad, but I would say it does make sense. Sienna, I actually want to see how much she's been picked. Also, for a note for people that don't know this website, the moment I tap on the units here, well, it takes a little bit to load right now, I don't really know why. But it's actually loading the units in popularity. So from top left to bottom right, it's just the popularity of like how often a unit is picked. So the further it's down, the less it's picked in general. So it is picked 1%. It is a 50 win rate, and it's banned to a decent amount. I use her sometimes as well. She's not really great, but she is a unit that can be used here and there as an AoE unit where a Poseidon might do the same thing, but you need something with a stronger S2 as well. That's kind of the implication for her. So she's not necessarily bad, but she's also not that great. Also, again, just a 5th pick unit. So that is everything for the Beast Riders. Now we're going to move on to, I see the Bisons over here. We go for the Bisons. So Bison, in this case, we can start off with the Carnal. Carnal's on a 50% win rate, which dropped quite a bit over the last few weeks. Mainly also counted by Marsha, relatively counted by Dominic, relatively counted by Oliver, because if you don't have skills, it's pretty shit on the unit. Not as strong as it used to be, very inconsistent stunts, and therefore dropping a little bit in win rate. But still, I would say, pretty solid unit. Pretty solid unit, and therefore I would say Carnal still at a 80. Then we continue on with this one not used. We go on with a Cigar. And Cigar is something some people here and there use. It's actually one of the more popular wind units out there. Me, myself, I don't really like the unit all too much still. I do hope that this loading circle goes faster over time, because this is pretty ruckery. I have no patience. Otherwise, we're gonna have to switch to another side that also has win rates. Because if it's just slow, I don't want to keep waiting on that all the time. And this one also has all of the units in there. Can we actually see, if we just collect it by this, pick rate G3. If we scroll down, it shouldn't be too hard to find Cigar. Okay, it is actually relatively hard to find Cigar on this. Okay, let's just use this one. So we have Cigars at a 49 win rate. Pick rate is actually 6%. Wait, so then I should be able to find it. Let's see if the two websites actually have like similar. No, that's a funny thing. Like the websites are not consistent with each other for the win rates, for example. Well, this one actually selects pure G3 data. So therefore I like this one more than the other one. Because this one has like data from all over the places. And I would say we're making a G3 tier list. I'd rather look at this one. 51 pick rate, pretty nice, but I'm pretty sure this is a late picked unit as well. And therefore has somewhat higher win rate. It's a unit I still haven't built yet. I'm not sure if I will build it anytime soon, but he has decent to good usage. But I would still say that like a Soph or something in the same position might be better. Okay, let's continue on with the other Slayers that we have. Crack is not really used, but this one, the Gurkha, the Dark Bison, is very much used. Let's check from win rate, because that's probably the way we're going to find it fastest. 55 win rate. That is really crazy. Wait, you can select this also as well? Where? Monster. Oh, yeah, G3 data. But then if you zoom, I didn't even know that you had the G3 data over there. Let's see if it's consistent with one another. Where is little cigar? Cigar, next one. No. Cigar. Oh, still not consistent with one another. So, that's the thing, they track different stats, so it's more of an indication rather than like the precise number. But a 55 and a very high ban rate and a reasonable pick rate makes Gurkha very strong. Gurkha is often in most drafts the strongest 5th pick you can pick right now. I used to call Tianlang, which you also see on the board here with still a very high win rate, the strongest 5th pick out there. But I would say Gurkha right now is by far the strongest 5th pick. And I'm actually going to put it at 100. Because I feel like that unit is so insanely strong. The moment it takes one turn, it just cycles your whole team to death, in most cases. It's really a lot of a must ban, and otherwise it's going to win your match. I might make an in-between tier at some point and move it one down, but as of for now, I would say Gurkha 100. That unit is pretty busted right now. Let's move on with the Archmasters. We have one Jogun. And Jogun still has the nerf. It even test Elusia against Dark Bison. Dark Bison would still get its turn so fast that it barely matters. That's the thing, like even if you CC it, plus most Dark Bisons are 100% rust, where your Elusia is not 100% accuracy, or like 85 accuracy. So therefore it's going to resist shit and still fuck you up. Why is this side so incredibly slow? Okay, we're going to fight Jogun in this one. Or are we? We are. Can't handle it when my side that I'm trying to look shit up is slow. Okay, Jogun is not picked up much. Or, okay, Jogun is over here, 2.5%, but 52 win rate. That's actually not bad. So, it is actually a unit that people have been sleeping on a little bit. It's by all means not a bad unit, but it's also not the greatest unit out there. Does this one have a higher Jogun pick rate or something? Probably passed it. Probably did pass it. Where that's over here. Wow, that's very inconsistent. This one's saying it's 47, and this one's saying it's 52. It's very inconsistent with one another. I would say 47 does sound a little bit more reasonable actually than a 52, not gonna lie. Wouldn't say Jogun is bad, but there's better options out there right now, and it just gets kind of destroyed by a bunch of units. But I would say 75 is fair for Jogun. Then we're going to move next to Mr. Heigang. And Heigang probably has a higher pick rate. Heigang actually has a 44.5 win rate. Wow, that's really shit. How much is that on this one? I feel like Heigang is often picked in the position where people are like, oh, I'm gonna lose this draft, I might as well just try to fix it with a Heigang. It's at 47, it's really bad. This is one of those, my bias says that Jogun is higher. Because I like Jogun, my Jogun works. Apparently for other people it doesn't work. But for the reason it doesn't really work for other people, I'm gonna put it a little bit lower than I would personally. So according to the win rate, it would be somewhere over here. But I'm still gonna place it here because I feel like Heigang in a good draft does make a lot of sense and it can really help out. The main issue is Heigang should be Despair, and there's so many good Despair units out there. And for that reason, people tend to put Heigang on Swift, and Swift Heigang is just kind of shit. So the unit is not shit, we are shit. Continuing on with Mr. Chungus, aka the CP. And CP has a very high pick rate, close to 50% win rate, decent ban rate, very strong overall unit. I would say 85 as well. I wouldn't put it 90 because it's not as spammable as a Marcia is. Marcia has higher win rate though, but CP is slightly less spammable, but still very strong as a unit. So 85 for CP. Then we continue on with Hanwoo, Mookwool. They're not really used as far as I know. We could actually, let's use this one to quickly search up units because it's easier. Mookwool. No, it's less than 0.5%, so that's fair. I don't have to place it. Let's go on with Nana and the other, what are called fairies, mages. Very high pick rate, very high win rate, very high ban rate. Still, Nana has been nerfed twice, keep that in mind. And Nana's still going very, very strong, and it's just a very overall solid unit. It is just that it is countered by a bunch of things like AoE pushback and that kind of stuff. But the moment the bruiser fight happens, Nana's just that strong that she makes it work. So I would still say that Nana is, would I say 90 or 95? Chat, what do you guys say, 90 or 95? I feel like 95 is slightly too high, but 90 is too low. I already might feel like it's in between it here, because I feel like Nana is technically better than Marcia. It's just less of a first pick, but I feel like it's a better unit than Marcia. We got 290s, 295s. Nice, indecisive pieces of shit. No, just kidding. We're going between it here. Fair is fair. In between the tier it is, because we have a bunch more crazy units coming up. I might switch out or switch things at a later moment, but 92.5 for Nana. We go back to the Momo not used Kiki's. Kiki actually, to the amount where a lot of people use it enough, it's 1%. It is 1%, but it's also one of those units you better be picking Juno before the enemy picks Juno against you. I feel like it's a niche unit in RTA. 75, just for niche purposes, good last pick. Kind of a must ban on last pick and therefore probably high win rate. Everything that's last pick mostly has higher win rates. So that is that for that unit. Let's go with Archangels. And actually the only Archangel I would care about as of right now is Artemil, which I also really feel like is a unit that has been slept on. Because Artemil most of the time has a pretty high win rate, so I kind of expect to find it here. 2.77% win rate, or 2.77 on pick rate, 52.66 on the win rate, which I would say is definitely good enough. In the APEC group B, we saw it being spammed a little bit, too much. It's not great in that. Artemil is still a very good counter pick. It's a niche counter pick, so 75, it's not going to be any better than that. But 75 I think is fair, and it's mainly good against like crit Olivers and a bunch of other things. That it always crits, like Juno's maybe not that much as of right now, because the moment you stun a Juno you give it speed buff, but there's some other usages for those. So let's continue on. These are not used. These are not used. This one, the only one that is actually used is Bella. So in this, for the sake of Bella, Bella mostly has a pretty decent to high win rate as well. Okay, Bella has a 50 win rate on a 3.5 pick rate. It's not that much. Apparently Obabo is not that much playing. We're not forgetting Veronica and Destiny. Don't worry. But we're gonna leave them all the way to the end, I think. But Bella's one of those units is really shines with better rune quality, which I assume most G3 people have, but it's still somewhat of a difficult thing at some points. Let's actually do this so I have a little bit more light here. But I would say 75 or 80. I would say 75, because making her useful mostly means that you have to put very good runes to it. Plus, you have to build a team around her, kind of. So therefore, I have been placing her higher in tier list before, but I would say 75 is kind of fair. Let's continue on. We have demons, and the first demon that is used is, I think Bella is useless in a lost draft. Most things are useless in a lost draft. That's the point of losing your draft. However, Mephisto, I think it's one of the highest banned units, so let's actually refer to it that way. Yeah, I was actually correct on that. 45% on the ban rate. It is a hard counter to Nana. It's a semi-counter to Shizuka. So for that reason, it has some implementations right now, but it's not that great of a unit. So I would give it a 70 by best, actually. Or would I give higher? The ban rate is somewhat high, though. I would say 75. I feel like 75 is fair for Mephisto. If we move on to the other demons, I'm pretty sure Lucifer is not used as much. Dark Demon probably has a high ban rate as well. Around the same win rate, little bit less, slightly less, about the same thing. So Dark Demon actually won the unit that won the Legend tournament last season. But then again, also very niche pick, very last niche pick. And as we can see here, it's a lot of last picked niche picks that have been filling the 75 so far. Yeah, it's Oliver Food, so it's really a last pick where you probably have Oliver on the field and then it can shine. These are not really used. Sekhmet. Sekhmet is getting a lot of tension and a lot of usage right now. Gurkha is 100, yes. If you disagree, then you're allowed to disagree, I don't care. Sekhmet has a close to 25% win rate, or 25% pick rate, 48.5 win rate, ban rate 21, which is also pretty high for a ban rate in general. It's one of those units that's, I think, overdrafted to the sense of like, oh, I'm losing this draft, or I'm losing this outspeed draft, so I'm trying to outspeed it in my way. The S3 is still inconsistent, which is really shit. But I feel like Sekhmet is pretty solid. In the correct draft, in the correct moment, solid 80 for Sekhmet for me. We see some people using Hathor, which is pretty boring to see, but we have been seeing some Hathors here and there. Actually, I haven't used Hathors for like 10 seasons plus. Where are the Hathor at? Hathor's over here, so it's just the win rate is high. Ban rate is also pretty high, but there's just very few people using it. But very few people that are using it to decent success. So for that reason, I actually do want to place it in, but I would say a solid 75. Yeah, I would say Hathor is still a solid 75. Maybe I should rune up my Hathor again. Meh, who knows, who knows. Let's go for a Bastet, which probably has a higher pick rate. Used to be the main cleaver unit. Currently, cleave is not really seen as much anymore. But Bastet is still seen here and there from time to time. However, how often is that? Because I can't really find it. Bastet. Is it more than this? No way it's more than this. No way it's more than this. Probably I skipped it 3 times already. I probably did skip it 3 times already. It's such a struggle to find these units sometimes. Wait, did I skip it or is it just not there? I feel like an idiot now. But this site is sometimes not loading shit. So, okay, let's just find Bastet. Or no, Bastet. Above Hathor. Okay, so I skipped it 3 times. Either how, 50 win rates, 5% pick rates. Niche pick if it really fits your draft. That's the best I can give for her. Wouldn't use her alt much, but it's just I have something against Bastet because it gives away so much from your draft. It makes your draft so straightforward what you're going to do, and therefore I feel like Bastet is pretty bad. Like someone drafted Bastet, it's like, oh, they're going to outspeed me. It's just, yeah, it makes too much sense. Isis. Below 1% pick rate, so I don't have to put it. However, Nefis. Nefties does has a pretty high pick rate as well, if I'm not mistaken. Nefties is at 12.88. Win rate is close to 50, which is actually lower than ever. That is interesting, because I feel like Nefties is still going pretty strong. There's a few more counters to Nefties, like Veramos, like Tetra, like Seimei, like Juno is a better counter. Yeah, Juno's actually rocking her life really hard, probably. That does make sense, actually. But I still feel like she has more value than in previous metas, because Sierra is that bad right now. Yeah, there's not, besides Oliver, there's not too many really good, like Oliver is a good speed lead. What's it called? Ryu is a good speed lead, the water one. Tomo is an okay speed lead. Nessa is just okay. Chimera is just okay. So Sekhmet, not Sekhmet, Nefties is still doing a very good, solid job for a speed lead. So therefore I value her high enough to place her over there. Let's continue on. Tablo. Can we find a Tablo over here pretty fast? Tablo over here, 9% pick rate. And a... And a 48% win rate. Tablo's getting more interest as well, because Tablo with Marsha is a really good combination. Tablo with Barbara is a good combination. Tablo with Dominic is a very good combination. And therefore I do value Tablo as well, also for being a 24 lead. Same as where you can also make it both Swith and Vile. I would say that Tablo is actually a very strong unit. The only thing is, the moment Tablo comes, you kind of know what's coming. But I feel like Tablo is a very solid unit, so 75 for Tablo for me. Would I say 80? No, I'm gonna place Tablo 80. I do value Tablo a lot, because Tablo's drafts are pretty scary in general. Could be my bias, but I feel like Tablo drafts, mainly if the Tablo owner also has a good Leo counter, because that's very important, because you're probably gonna get Leo'd. I would say Tablo has great value. So we continue on with, yeah, we can go for dragons next. Let's go dragons next, because we have Verrat being buffed as well. And Verrat is still unit, oh, first saw Chimera over here. Chimera 45 win rate, holy shit. That's pretty garbage, actually. I feel like Chimera doesn't have that much usage anymore, because the units that increase cooltime, which he is a counter to, Oliver and TP, also have a, what's it called? They have a pushback. So therefore Chimera just, it's not that great. I would say 70 for Chimera. I still feel like he can be used to niche extent, but I feel like I'm generous with 70 already. The other one I was actually looking for was Verrat. I would be surprised if Verrat is not used enough to be on here. 1% pick rate, 45% win rate for Verrat. Thing with Verrat is, it's very difficult to hit the position where he's buffed to. So he's buffed to the position where he has double the defense of the unit you're hitting. Which means if a unit is semi-tanky, let's say a Mali is semi-tanky, let's say it has like 1400, 1500, maybe 1600 defense. You need 3k defense on your Verrat while being in tune, while having 85 accuracy. That makes Verrat very difficult to rune, and therefore most of the time not the perfect pick for the situation, whereas a Poseidon would just always do it, no condition added. So I personally don't really like Verrat all too much. I've seen it being used here and there, and it has decent usage, but let's just say a 70, it doesn't get better than that for me. I also saw the Zerath, which is mostly being spammed by a bunch of people like Pinkroyd and that kind of stuff. But I actually feel like Zerath, rather than the way that they use them, like being like very high top end players spamming them, I feel like Zerath is pretty good, because Zerath only needs an armor break to do his maximum damage potential, which is pretty nice. It also has a cleanse on S2, which is a very good S2. It is a very strong heal and a very good cleanse. Like, literally Zerath S2 is as good as a Rika S2. The S1 is very terrible, but it's literally Rika S2 that is more tanky and provides the possibility to nuke the whole team. So I feel like Serath is actually pretty dangerous unit. Wouldn't recommend to first pick it, but as a last pick, I say Serath is very freaking strong. Because it has a thing of both worlds. It has the cleansing potential and the healing potential, and the freaking one-shotting potential, which is pretty unique in a unit in general. So I would say Serath is a... I would say it's better than the 5th picks over here, actually. But I'm not 100% sure. I don't really feel like an in-betweener tier for these, but I would say Serath 80%. Yeah, I feel that's fair. It's not used as much. And these units have a lot more usage. No, I'm gonna one down it because of it's not used that much. I feel like if people would use it more, win rate would drop, but overall, pretty strong unit. We Grogan and Zyros, they're not really used, so I don't really have to place them in. Then we go for Dragon Knights. I'm just gonna scroll up until the first Dragon Knight that I find, and then I'm gonna go on to the next. That's probably the best way to look at this tier list that way. Where the frick are my Dragon Knights at? I would have expected a Leica by now or something. Hey, Leo. Well, let's start off with Mr. Leo. Leo is 17% win rate, or 17% pick rate. Why do you always say win rate on the pick rate? Whatever. And a 50 win rate, but a 45 on the ban. And the 45 on the ban is what values him a lot. If I would be ACOG, I would place him somewhere over here, but that is just a bias of playing a specific comp that's super hard countered by Leo, and therefore it's not that great. You do have to have like a good Leo counter to counter Leos, but then again, you can have good Leo counters and just annihilate a Leo team with just one unit straight off the bat. Would I value Leo in its position, that it's a good unit? Yeah, most definitely. Would I say it's the most OP unit out there? Most definitely not, because even a Masha, if you have Masha on the field, Leo doesn't really counter that. Dominic on the field, Leo does not counter that. So he has actually less drafts right now that he counted as what he counted in the past, I would say. So for that reason, Leo for me is 80. We continue on with, which of course, don't get me wrong, 80 is a very strong unit. Then we continue on with a Ragdoll. Ragdoll is a 23.5 pick rate and a 50.5 win rate. Which is funny, by the caster of SWC Europe Cup, he always says like, oh, Ragdoll is not really in meta right now. No, it's only like what, the top, like edge of top 10 most pick unit. It's not really in meta right now. He just mentions that because he has one. Player bias, let's call it that way. But I would say Ragdoll is still a very strong unit. Of course, it's quite damaged by a Miles right now, by a Dominic, of course. Therefore, Ragdoll is no longer as good as used to be. But I still feel like that Ragdoll, rather than being a early pick, Ragdoll as a late pick is a very, very strong unit. The moment people go AoE CC with a bunch of critter units, you draft in that Ragdoll, you get 40% attack bar per AoE. Is very strong and very deadly, and therefore I still say Ragdoll on a 90. Or should I go higher on that Ragdoll? No, I feel like Ragdoll's fine on a 90 right now. Shouldn't Nephthys be one higher? I don't think so. I think Nephthys is pretty strong, but I'm not sure if it makes her as good as a Ragdoll right now. If you look purely win rate, pick rate kind of related, not really. I'm gonna keep as is for now. I feel like I put Ragdoll a little bit low right now, but I'm gonna keep as is. Gonna keep as is for now. Then we continue on with the like I think is in 1% pick rate. Jaeger might not be, but let's actually find them here because it's. Let's find them here because it's easier. Below 1% pick rate, so easy, don't have to pick it. It's also a relatively shit unit. Because there's just a bunch of units hard countering it. Below 1% pick rate, but actually very low win rate, lol. I do want to place it in, and I do want to place it in for the reason that I say it's not that bad, but you need a very specific thing that you counter. Because, as you can see, there's a lot of multi-hit like all over the place here. multi-hitter, 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 that kind of stuff. It all kind of wrecks the Leica, but if there's none of that on the field, having a good Leica 5th pick is still pretty strong. So therefore I do want to place it in. It's a lot stronger than a Chow 5th pick, I would say. And then we have a Jaeger. And Jaeger used to be pretty good with the main Riley Nana meta, but as you can see currently it's not as great anymore. It's also below 1%, like fairly below. So I'm not going to place the Jaeger in there for now. Then we move on to a Balinus. Balinus. Probably not picked as much. Probably very close to the bottom of this pick rate list, I would say, actually. Or is it not even in? Balinus is actually below. Interesting. Actually interesting. I am going to still place it in because, well, I'm making this list and I make the rules. No, but I feel like Balinus, a fair place Balinus, last pick with double will anything. Of course, there has to be the double will part. Can be pretty solid. It's one of those units that you place like 1 in 500 matches and then for sure wins that 500 match. Yeah, like also making a Balinus as an anti-Leo is pretty solid. Same thing for Helena, for example. It's also if you are open to AoEs and you pick a Leo, then Balinus or Helena are very solid picks into it. We continue on with Abellio, and Abellio, of course, is used quite a lot as of this moment. I think it's one of the more used water units out there in general, with a 14.5% pick rate and a 52% win rate, which is very high. And we've seen Abellio do very good in all kinds of tournaments and things as well. So I would say straight up 80. I might even say 85, because I actually value a good Abellio, or did I say Balinus? I meant Abellio. Abellio 85, because I feel like Abellio is just so all-round, and you can just, like, at the end of a draft that you're nearly losing, you can slap in an Abellio and it probably will perform to a decent to good amount. So I would say for bruiser fights, 85 for Abellio, because he's a very good bruiser, but he's also very good into a turn 1 comp. So he can be placed into both things. So yeah, as the guy, sorry, Chinese name can't read, but as he just mentioned, is a very unique unit, and therefore it makes him pretty solid. I agree. Darrenese is probably not picked enough, but I'm gonna have a quick look. But I would very much be surprised if this is picked enough now, 0.28. But of course, Mr. Valantis is picked enough. But to what extent? Valantis is 7.5% pick rate and a 53.11 win rate, which is insanely high. Valantis is not picked as much as Gianna, for example, but I feel like it's one of the stronger strippers out there right now, because it has the possibility of countering pushing up attack bar. It has the possibility of despairing, because it's pretty much always run on despair. It has a good amount of damage on the S2, and it provokes and puts glancing. So I would say Valantis is a 92.5. I don't really think I would put Valantis on 95 though, because of its spammability, I guess. It's not that often spammed. It's not that much use. So therefore I say 92.5 is fair for a Valantis. Then we have the Patar, but Patar is probably... Ever since the coming of CP and... Wait, how do you write it? Patar, this? Yes. Ever since CP and all kinds of pushbacks, Patar's not been that great. So, okay, it's 5th pick, but that's as far as it goes. We continue the list and we go towards Fairy Kings. Daphnis. I want to see if you're even in the top 1%. You are actually in the top 1 coin flip bullshit unit, holy fuck. I've seen some people use it as counter Leo 2 on like a double Nam will kind of position, but I feel like there's better units doing the same thing. So I would say 60 by best, because it's still a coin flip bullshit unit. Pisama, what do we have over here? 3.3 and a 3.3 pick rate and a 47 in the win rate for Pisama, which is very understandable because all of it just wrecks the living shit out of that unit. So I would say it's good for the speed lead, relatively niche-ish, but doesn't really get much better than that. We continue on with the next one, which is a Ganymede. And Ganymede is one of those units that never really lost meta, but also it didn't get back into meta as much. But a 2.2% pick rate. Let's see if it's higher on this one. I think it's 3. The win rate on this one is actually pretty much higher than the win rate it shows over here. Fairly interesting. Fairly interesting. But I would say Ganymede placed on a good position is still very strong. The S3 very strong, ignores elements. S2 very strong unit. But then again, a good last pick. A good last pick. However, I do feel like I feel like an in-betweener tier coming up. And not below, but above. Because I actually feel like there's a few units, Ganymede and Zerath, being better than the tier they're at. So I'm gonna put an in-betweener tier over here. Because, oh wait, wrong color. I feel like they are better at the thing they do than the other units next to it. Okay, now I really fuck up the colors. This one, orange, yes. And then 75 should be this orange as well, yes. A Kiki 77? Kiki's not used as much, I would say. Well, in a proper draft, it might be. No, I'm gonna keep Kiki as is. It's hard to draft in Kikis, I would say. It's easier to draft in these other units. Then we have the next one, which is Oberon. And is Oberon one that we can find from low pick rates here as well? Holy can. Okay, higher than this. That is Bison itself. Oh man, this thing is sometimes so difficult to find anything. Oberon. Whoa. 2.5% pick rate, but 53 win rate. Well, probably if I search by win rate, then I can find it pretty easily. Here, whoa, 4%. Whoa. And that is solely due to the fact of Shizuka. Shizuka just makes Oberon such a more interesting unit. Yeah, people in chat has been mentioning it as well. I would say Oberon, let's say without Shizuka, it's probably like this or this. But with Shizuka, it's 85 at least. Plus, I've been seeing more Swift Oberons lately. Whereas before, Oberon was mainly double Nam Will. But Swift is very good as well. The thing is, Oberon is hard to rune to one-shot things. I've seen like a bunch of matches of Oberons doing like 36, 37k damage. And things survive by the sliver of health. Because in G3, a lot of units that are semi-tanky are towards like 40k HP. And it's very hard to make an Oberon do that much damage. And then again, he's literally one-shotted by a Dominic. So that's kind of the trade-off. But I would say 85. Solid unit in specific drafts. We continue on with a Nyx. Is Nyx even used that much in RTA? 1.5%, so it is in. And I would say Nyx is very RNG based. If his passive starts landing a lot of shit, it's very good. If it doesn't, it's doing pretty much nothing. So I would say 70 for Nyx. Don't give it too high, Sapphirus. I was already asking if you were. But I would say 70 is fair. 70 is generous, but sure. I would say, like, compared to the units it's with, it's not bad for a 70. Yes, it's one of those units I would use like once in every 50 to 60, 70 matches, and it would probably do pretty good there. Wouldn't be using Nyx all too much though. So that is all for the family of the Fairy Kings. Then we continue on with the family of Triana and shit. So, Triana and that kind of stuff. Triana's not really used anymore, is it? Well, probably this is including all of the things, but it's not being used as much, so that's fine. Celia, are we going to trigger ACOG even more? 0.1%. Okay, I don't have to place it. I don't have to trigger ACOG any more than this. FIFA chill. 4.5% pick rate. That's actually a decent amount. So this one is not selecting G3 data right now. It's only selecting G3 data from that thing. Yeah, okay. 50% win rate, it's not bad. It's not bad. Thing is, you can build FIFA Chow both on Swift and Vio, which kind of surprise the enemy. Plus, you always have that fear of like, okay, what if she takes a turn right after my unit? She depletes my full health for attack bar. That unit does fucking nothing, and immediately a one-shot I kill. So I would say FIFA Chow is in between 77.5. Because again, not that much used. And she also has the attack bar boost on herself, so that makes it actually relatively easy to make her S3 kill. And of that kill potential, I will place her higher. Yeah, I'm gonna place her high. She's of course better in bruiser fights than anything, but yeah. These I don't have to place. These I don't have to place. Rocky's probably not used, right? It's such a bad thing to try to focus something down with a Rocky. Yeah, it has more pick rate than Celia, but that's as far. If that's your like resume statement, then that's not that great. Athna has a 5% pick rate, close to 5% with a 48 win rates. Let's actually see if we can find her here on the G3 data. Because I'm pretty curious to see. I feel like, oh, here she is. About the same. Same for pick rate, same for win rate. So I would say Athena, not over there though. I would say Athena at least 75. I'm not that big a fan of Athena myself. A lot of people have been using Athenas, but I feel like sometimes she's even more consistent on her S3 than this because it just does too little damage. Her S2 is kind of mediocre and countered by anything that counters. So I don't know. I feel like she's a worse segment, but I feel like she kind of works in this 72.5. No, I feel like she's okay for 75. Then we continue on with Asima. Asima are mostly spanned by specific people with a very specific comp, and therefore Asima works. But Asima in hindsight is kind of like a Rika with more damage. So it's nothing too crazy, but it's good what it should do for. So 77.5 for Asima in my opinion. It's just a good damage dealer. Clean up, clear, unit, whatever, something, whatnot. Nothing too crazy, but well, it's actually 77 is pretty high for a unit. Would I lower it down? No, it's just a good 5th pick. These units you can actually spam and have more versatility towards the unit. I would say 77 is fair for Athena. Or not Athena, Asima. Then we also have where was I? Kraka. And I feel like Kraka is okay, just don't expect it to strip on her S2 too much. 52.5 win rate. Wow, that's actually not bad. It's not a great unit by all means, of course not, but I would use it here and there from time to time. What would I say even here? But then again, she's bound to crit or has to crit to make it worse. Nah, I would put her 1 down because I don't see her too much and I don't fear her too much, but I would say Athena can be used. It's not the worst of units out there. There's a lot of units that are worse. Okay, then we have the homunculus, or is the plural of homunculus homunculi? I don't know. Whatever, these units. Then we have Tessa, and Tessa is always one of those units that's really trying hard to counter really hard units, which he mostly does in, well, actually not that bad fashion right now. His win rate has been a lot lower than this. His pick rate is to a decent high amount actually. So I've always valued a decent test at good positions. But it doesn't come higher than 75 for me because it's still trying to do something it's not really that great at. But can it be picked more often than these other units? I would say 77.5 because it's pretty unique for what it does of having Oblivion every turn. Whereas the other units have Oblivion sometimes. Elsharion, is it even used enough? Elsharion. 0.75, just a bunch of cleavers is what it is. Veramos. Veramos is 1.1% pick rate, so otherwise I would have liked to place it in as well. What we see a lot is triple Nemesis Veramos. The issue is that the moment he gets stunned, he doesn't push up the attack bar. If he would always push up the attack bar no matter stunned or not, my Veramos would straight be 80 for me, because I would feel like it's a very good counter pick into a lot of things. But the issue of him being potentially stunned, because most things that land dots or debuffs also are on this pair. And therefore the thing he's supposed to counter him right away. So therefore I would say Veramos is not higher than a 70 for me, because it's just, it can work niche, but most of the time it gets stuns, it works against you, the monster does freaking nothing. And heal block still really hard, it counters him, especially if he gets stunned. Then we continue on with doggos. No one really uses doggos. I would like to see how good Sion is doing, but Sion is so much nerfed just due to Oliver in there, I guess. No one's really using Sion anymore. 0.5% pick rate. We have a Ken. Okay, that's going to be a bitch to find. Let's find him over here. Still going to be a bitch to find, but guess enough people are using Ken, right? Probably has the skin from the different one over there. Yeah, we can also find the other one. Bernadotte. Okay, 0.5% pick rate, so technically don't have to place it in. But as you can see here, win rate against Leo, and win rate against Dom, and win rate against Oliver. Which are actually pretty impressive win rates against very specific units. So for that reason, I do like him on specific builds. Quite a lot, actually. I feel like it's just a Ken dash 5. That could work. But yeah, I do feel like he has its value. Just play him in a specific draft and it will work. We continue. Angemon. Oh, wait, never mind. Antares, the one and only Mr. Procker. Mr. I get counted by the other Mr. that has family. Antares. Close to 50 win rate. Wow, that's actually higher than I expected. That's actually pretty impressive for Antares. Because personally, I feel like Antares is worse in current season than was in any other season. Maybe he spammed less, that makes his win rate higher. But I would still say 75. I would still really love when Antares would say, okay, I take a turn every 3rd to 5th turn. So keep a little bit of RNG in there, but at least make it somewhat consistent that sometimes he's not taking every turn and the other time he's taking like 1 in 15, which is also completely rockery. So that is Antares for me, 75. Let's continue on. Other liches, no. Odin, no. Geldnir. Geldnir was actually been used against Marshas because Marshas keep stacking him to a certain amount, and therefore it's, yeah, win rate for Geldnir against Marsha is actually insanely high. That's super funny. Also against Shizuka and that kind of stuff, Geldnir is pretty fun. So I would say people that have Geldnir are maybe sleeping on him on RTA. By all means, it's not the greatest pick out there, but it can work in last picks where the whole team is just impossible to kill. And therefore I would say Geldnir is a pretty good 5th pick. Let's continue on with Bolvrik. Bolvrik is something we can probably find pretty fast in the high pick rates. Bolvrik. 8% on the pick rate and 49 on the win rate. It's actually less than expected. Ban rate is 30, which is pretty high though. Because I was thinking it would like counter things like Masha more, but I guess Oliver still hard counter to him. That makes him struggle. But I would say 77.5 is still fair for Mr. Bulwark. And I didn't mean to reset that one or reload that one, but it's what it is. Oh wait, I actually missed Wedjat. Wedjat. Wedjat is a 3% pick rate with a 48.5% win rate, which is not bad. It's kind of a unique speed lead, but I feel like he's kind of hard countered by Juno and Praha being good right now, even though he does give the extra healing, which makes him slightly better. I would say in specific, yeah, 75. Not better than that. Yeah, not better than that. I feel like he's pretty unique for speed lead speed booster, but yeah, 75 for me, 75. I feel like I'm placing a lot of shit in 75. I actually wanted to look at Antares as well. Because Antares technically should kind of counter an Oliver, but he doesn't. Never mind, no one uses Antares. Oh yeah, let's continue on. Iris, no one uses. These things, no one uses. Tetra though. Yeah, if his S2 had something extra, it would be very strong right away, I would say. Tetra is 1.5% pick rate. Win rate is kind of low. Countering for Lantis and that kind of jazz. Tetra. I would say Tetra's kind of Vermos level. It's one of those things that you don't see all too much, but it could be a thing. Ophelia's counter to Oliver. It's kind of interesting. Not sure how that would fare out, but good work, I guess. But let's continue with Molly first. Molly, I feel like, is a very good unit in current meta. Mainly because she's also hard counter into Oliver and that kind of stuff. Junos, you name it. There's just a whole bunch of things that, if there's little to no kill potential, she will counter it to a certain extent. Which also shows in her play rate and win rate. I actually want to see her in this list. This is selected by G3 data and pick rate. Where Molly adds also here, whoa, close to 52 win rate. That's insane on a 15 pick rate. Molly is good, and I also have been liking Molly quite some, so I feel like Molly is 85 for me. It's kind of like an Abellio. It's really unique in what it does, and it counters a lot of shit in its own way. Can you make a -100 rank and put Maya in there? It's below 1% pick rate, so I don't have to. But otherwise, Maya would fit like the -100. I do agree. I do agree on that one. Yeah, Molly 85 is Gucci. So I actually want to see, someone's mentioning the Ophelia. Is that used enough that I would say, not really. So we can continue on. We don't really see Sylvia's or that kind of jazz in there. We do see Susano's from time to time. I actually was using the Susano myself. Susano. A few times, but I didn't like him all too much. It was a counter into like Junos and Marshas, but in the end, he just stuns you and fucks you up. So, and pick rate is also kind of low, so I don't have to place it in. But then we also have Mr. Han. Lots of things called Han. Han is a 4.5% play rate and then a 51.66 in the win rate. Wait, it's hard countering Molly. Wow, that's interesting. I would say the other way around, but Han is still the strongest single target damage dealer in the game. Like by far, if you calculate multipliers of his rotation, he is by far strongest single target damage dealer in the game. So I would say 85. I feel like 85 is fine. Punish the script, do you focus towers first? If you want to do it with Trukari, you have to focus tower first, but I do a different team. Let's continue on with... I like to see him 85. I have him at 85. Is there a delay on the stream, actually? Because I just placed him there a few seconds ago. Okay, so we continue on with the OGs. Delay, not too much delay. Well, slight delay. Just like 5 seconds, yeah, it's not that bad. Rika. Rika, first of all, Rika win rate has been getting lower. What's her bad win rate things? Bunch of things. But yeah, Rika's kind of straightforward. It's often banned as well, but I would say same as the other units. It's kind of like a good last pick. And I would actually say it's same tier as Asima, because Asima does it slightly different, it's slightly better, but in the end it's kind of the same thing. Plus the slow is actually pretty nice. Continuing on with Annabelle, the favorite unit of Lievert. Annabelle, this way, yes. 2% pick rate and a 49 win rate. Personally, I don't like Annabelle too much, because Oliver, because CP, because a whole bunch of those kind of things. And maybe I devalue her, but... yeah, 75. 75. I feel like she's kind of in that tier. Like, if it's a last pick, it could do good, but wouldn't really focus 2 good runes on her, and then she doesn't do all too well. Let's see where the Charlotte is. Charlotte mostly has a pretty high win rate, but that's also because she's mostly a last pick. And because of her being a last pick, that just makes her win rate like go up immediately anyways. But I do really like Charlotte. Definitely like Charlotte. Charlotte for me is 80. It's worse than CP because CP also strips, but Charlotte, in what she does, is very solid. Would I say she's better than Sylvana and Cigar? No, she's kind of on the same thing. She does it in a different way, but it's not necessarily one is very much better than the other one, I would say. Then we have Laura, which I think is probably below 1% pick rate. Just below. Interestingly enough, has a decent win rate, but I don't really like the unit. I'm gonna place it in there anyways, but I wouldn't really say it's anything too great. 70 for Laura for me. Then we have Nikki. Nikki is one of those units, very strong if it works, and then it looks like, oh my god, this is the strongest unit out there. But if it doesn't work, it's, well, just lacks damage or anything like that. Win rate is good. Pick rate is okay-ish. So I would say for a 52.5 win rate and a 2.5% pick rate, I would say Nikki is a 77.5 for me. You can't spam it too much, but the moment you can, it does its thing. So after that, we continue on with Onimushas. Is Kaki still a thing? Not really, right? It's 1.5% pick rate, but probably not in... Is it also 1.5% in G3 data? I don't think so. I feel like Kaki is something that is used in lower ranks, but it's not really used in higher ranks. It's a ragdoll counter, a molly counter, that kind of jazz, but I wouldn't really value a Kaki all too much more than just, let's say, a 70. Suiki. Probably used even less. I feel like Ease is more niche of the two, but it's not that great. Miles also hard counts Kaki. That's very true. I actually, for those 2 reasons, for Miles, that would just pretty much 2-shot those units, place them like a little bit down. We continue on with Kinky, which is also hard counted by a whole bunch of things these days. 50 win rate on a 4% pick rate. Interesting, interesting. It's more pick rate than I thought, but again, one of those good last picks. If you pick it last at a good moment, it can solo a whole team. 75. 75 is really one of those like tiers for like niche picks in like last moment, I would say. We continue on with the Dark Onimusha, which is a very fucking strong unit. But it needs very good runes to shine, because in all of RTA it shows a 51.81 on a 6% pick rate. But if I'm not mistaken, if we select it from here, I see it earlier in the list, don't I? I don't. No, it's about the same, 6% and a 51.5. I thought the win rate of the Omniyoji would be higher. Do you pair with Omniyoji? But it doesn't really matter. It kind of does its own thing. Like Nephthys, of course, is very good, but I would say Omniyoji for me is 85. It has so much potential because it armor breaks into S, like it can armor break into S2 and just do so much damage. Plus, it ignores stuns. It kind of gets fucked by pushbacks, but Despair users really fear this unit because you always are like, ooh, if I despair this unit, it's going to wreck my team. So I would say 85 for Omniyoji. Now we continue on with the sisters. Starting off with a Tomu or a Tomato. Start off with Tomato. So Tomato has a high win rate against Tetra. That's weird as fuck. Either how. I would say it's a decent to good speed lead, but sometimes it just doesn't work as intended. But I would say still, like, for her potential, speed lead plus good skills, 80 for Tomato. Well, let's continue. And afterwards we have Shizuka. Shizuka is probably findable by highest pick rate in this list very easily. Holy shit. It's the third most picked unit. I feel like our S2 misses too much. The main issue with Tomu is glancing. And glancing happens on water units. So if she would ignore glancing on S2 and S3, she would instantly become like this, maybe even the in-betweener tier here. But her issue is, against water units, she's pretty much garbage, because she just doesn't land her shit because of glancing. Maybe because of that I'm gonna one lower her. I'm going to one lower her because she misses a lot, yeah. No, that's actually a fair point. She does miss a lot. But then again, she's a lot more used than those units. Nah, 80 is fine. But Shizuka, one of the most picked unit right now, even first picked as sometimes, and still having a solid win rate. That is an impressive resume. Miss? Would I say 92.5? I'm somewhat biased towards Shizuka because I don't struggle with against Shizuka, and I don't play that well with Shizuka, which is kind of strange of a Gianna. But I would say that I would say 90 is fair for Shizuka, but that might be slightly biased. What do you guys say in chat? Like 90, 95, 92.5. 92.5, I got a 95 in chat. Because I feel like whatever I put her at, I should put Marsha at as well. 90, 95. I would say 90 actually. 95, 95 for sure. 92 due to her synergy with certain units. She's picked, fits most of the comps with boss. Thing is, the moment you AoE CC her, she is going to do absolutely nothing. 92.5. Okay, let's go for the in-betweener and let's go for 92.5 because of our positive win rate. But I feel like there's plenty of counters that counter pretty hard, like a Juno, for example. Either how, 92.5 for Shizuka, I would say. She has good comeback potential. True. Gyu, no one really uses. Seimei, well, I have to place it in because the win rate of her is actually pretty high. And she has good, she's below 1%, I don't have to place her in. No, I'm still gonna place her in. Actually, her win rate is very high in G3, but that's because people pick it at a moment that it's just the passive is gonna do a lot. Wait, I thought it was higher than this. Okay, apparently it's not that high. Where the freak is the same at? I already miss her. Oh, same here. 50. Wow, that's actually less than expected. I thought their win rate was pretty high. Huh. Huh. It's high here. But I guess some people over... Wait. One thing I do want to see is it higher in win rate? It is higher in win rate if it's actually led through to the match. So the moment it's banned, it's lower. So our ban value is pretty nice in some matches. I would say she's a solid 80. Would I say higher? No, the moment her S1 would do anything else than nothing, she would be up here or even up here. But her S1, she gets so many wasted turns. That's the main issue. Her S2 doesn't do anything until something dies. And that's the moment you're kind of losing the match already. So that's just not that great of a foreseeing to do anything. Domon. Domon also is one of those units that really struggles with not landing its shit. But I feel like Domon in a bruiser fight is very powerful. But then again, the landing issue is really big, so 65 for that. We continue on with oracles. And the first one we have is Juno, which is actually by pick rate one of the highest, number 6. Number 6 pick rate, and actually very high win rate as well, which has an upgraded win rate for being in the match. Juno, as of currently, is very strong, the strongest stage she's ever been in. And I would say at least 90. Wait, what's her ban rate? Ban rate's 18, it's not that much. I cannot say she's as good as a Nana actually, because that will be strange. Because Nana is better in pick rate, win rate, and ban rate. And first pick rate. So she cannot be better than Nana, to be honest. But she's a very good counter pick. But I would say, is 90 fair for Juno? I feel like 90 is fine for Juno. Because then again, there's still a good Masha can just like literally S2, S1 in a proc and kill it. Because it's still very killable for a lot of things. Even with like a full AoE pushback team, you can get rid of Junos. Trust me, I do it a lot. So let's put that there. Sierra. Oh, Sierra's the joke of the season. That's definitely a thing. Does it still hold like a decent pick rate? Okay, the win rate goes up slightly because the pick rate goes down. But she's hit very harsh. I'm actually surprised that she's the one to be hit the most by the nerf. One up Nana. I might. Let me first do the Sierra first, and then I'll discuss about it. I would say Sierra is still actually to a certain degree a 77.5, but that is in specific drafts. So in specific drafts, I feel like it's very good. But you can't really spam it anymore. So therefore, I think it fits like the 77.5. But I do agree that I would want to place this one up, this one up. Do I though? Masha's kind of overspammed and therefore her win rate lowers. Do I want to do that? Difficult. Now, Kinky just, if you place him at a very good draft all the way at the end, he might have some usage where he can solo the whole thing. Juno better than Ragdoll? Yeah, that's also the thing I'm looking at. Is Juno actually better than Ragdoll? No, right? I almost feel like I want to drag everything to the 92.5 right now. Because Ragdoll and Masha are kind of on the same level. Struggles. Would this make sense to do? Everyone on the 92.5. I'm getting brain freezes and brain farts, and by the way, I'm not even farming. I should be farming as well. Volantis Juno 90. No, I feel like Volantis, his pick rate is lower. No, I feel like Volantis is very good actually. Just Juno 90, I feel like this is fair. I feel like this is fair. Just Juno on the 90, rest on 92.5. Let's keep it at that. I can always switch things later if I want to. And get confused about my own brain again. Praha. Praha is one of the biggest buffed units in current meta. And has a very high win rate actually. Wow, that's actually insanely high. I was surprised that just the speed buff was making her that good. But it's an AoE speed buff. And that just makes it very good. But Praha's 92.5, like, for sure. Wouldn't say higher than that, because she's not better than a Shizuka, for example. But yeah, she's also a good counter. She's a better counter into Shizuka than Praha is in some cases. Because of the element. She's also a good counter into Marsha. I think that's also a big factor. Her counter possibility into Marsha is very strong. And then we continue on with the actual cool oracles. Now, our oracles are cool. But the oracles that are actually hit by the nerf. Lima, which dropped from a 53 win rate. Remember last tier list, Lima was here? I think Lima was the only 100 I picked in previous tier list. So that means any unit I put on the 100 is gonna get nerfed. So Gurkha, you're fucked. That's what it is. But no, Lima took a bunch of hits. Lima really took a bunch of hits. I feel like Lima's still very strong. But would I say 95 strong? It's still the cleanse possibility. But triple revenge Lima was nerfed really badly though. And the win rate does show that she's... Win rate really dropped down quite a lot. I want to see in the 4v4. Little bit up, but 50 win rates. I would say 92.5. She's literally on Praha level. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Lima better than Praha though. Yeah, that's kind of true. Lima is better than Praha. I would more use a Lima than I would use a Praha for sure. Okay, 95 for Lima. Still 100 for Gurkha. He's gonna get nerfed. Left artifact for Dominic, same as the right artifact, additional damage stats. Then we have Gianna. Gianna's actually kind of less hit by the nerf, simply for that she cares more about her turn 1 than the whole bruiser cycle shenanigans bullshit. But Gianna is nowhere near 100. So this is probably not going to surprise you if I say that Gianna is better than Lima in current state. But it's not as good as Gurkha. So I feel like this is fair for those three. Gianna is better than Lima. And Gurkha is better than Gianna. In my opinion. Then we continue on. We continue on. Where are units that are going to be used? Leona is used. Leona of Lever does so much damage. Good thing it never did damage on me. Just LSCC. It's also the hard counter to it. But Leona is a straight up solid 75. Yeah, 75. We continue on with Pandas. Pandas. With Molong at first. Molong is used a lot. Win rate actually is dropping a little bit. I think it was higher at the start of the season. Molong is one of those funny units that's stronger in the draft than outside of the draft. Josephine. Oh yeah, of course, let's do Josephine first. Josephine, which is a unit which I don't really like. It's just a Locksack potato unit, which actually has more play rate than I expected. Win rate kind of low. If you feel lucky, if you feel the need of buying lottery tickets, you draft in Josephine. If not, don't. That's pretty much my take on it. If she procs every turn, she's insanely good. If she stuns every turn, she's insanely good. If she provokes every turn, she's insanely good. If she doesn't do all of that, she's there. Nah, it's not that bad, but she's over there. And then when she does all of that shit, she's over here. She's kind of like an Antares. But then in a different way, because she needs Vio procs instead of a built-in passive. Okay, continue with the Mo Long. Already saw the win rate. The win rate was relatively low. Veramos is good, but the issue is where he gets stunned, his passive doesn't work anymore. I explained it before. If Veramos' passive would work when he is stunned, I would place him here or here. But the issue is that most units that Pharaoh potentially counters also stun him, including Shizuka also stuns him. So that's the point where Veramos is pretty garbage. I do actually hope that they remove the stun thing from him. Would make it a fun unit to counter current meta. And always keep farming on the side, of course. We were at Pandas. Mo Long win rate was not that high, but I do value Mo Long pretty high. I'm actually surprised that his win rate is relatively low for Mo Long. Because in the 4v4 it's actually kind of lower. So I would say an 80 is fair. Continuing on with Feng Yang. It is used from time to time. Feng Yang is also one of those Leo potential counters. But it's not doing a great job. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's also getting fucked by Dominic and Miles and whatever not. So it's... I do want to place it in, but it's probably not better than the 70. I think I'm generous with 70. Tian Lang, one of those heavy hitters, the second best counter pick that you can do right now after Gurkha, which is a very high win rate. Let's see what's the win rate when you let it through in the match. Ooh, those win rates of those units if you let them through in the match. That's insane for those two. Fuck, that's high. Nikki's also very high. Should I one-up Nikki? Where Nikki at? Nikki one-up. You have 2 crazy win rate. Tian Lang though. Tian Lang always had a very high value for me just because of his potential for counter picking. But it's not as spammable as a Gianna. So I would say a 95 is fair for Tian Lang. Is it fair though? If you compare it to Gurkha and how much I value Gurkha. Feng Yang is fair bear right now. I don't know why, but it just sounds amazing. Fair bear, true unfair bear. Or would I say this? I would say that Gianna and Tian Lang are actually on same level. Gianna's more spammable, but Tian Lang is gonna win you more matches. Yeah, I would say Tian Lang is actually same level as Gianna. Sure, you use it a lot less, but it's so often a must ban. Whereas Gianna's not always the must ban. You know it's coming pretty early on. So... Gurkha uses right now. Yeah, Gurkha's gonna get nerfed after this list. Apparently I have the power to nerf the units if I put them on the top. Lima dropped from there to there. Okay, let's continue on. Ooh, Mi Ying. I do want to place Mi Ying. I'm really curious how much Mi Ying is used. Okay, 1%. So we're looking at the 1% and the 49, which is not great, but it's also not bad. And I feel like it's probably one of the strongest Leo counters you can build. One down, who you one up. Artemil is at the 75 already. Put Maya at the 2.5 for buff, please. Someone already asked me to put it at minus 100 for Maya, and I think minus 100 is more fair than 2.5. But yeah, I feel like Mi Ying is pretty nice and Feng Yang is, let's say this. I feel like Mi Ying, people are sleeping on Mi Yings. I feel like Mi Ying is pretty good actually. It's very hard to kill for a lot of drafts. Because if I'm not mistaken, Mi Ying also hard counters Mo Long, Miles and all of that shit. So I do like myself a Mi Ying. We continue on with monkey business. Where my monkey business is? Mei Hao Wang. Which is probably the one monkey business that got... Okay, never mind. Enough monkey business. Enough monkey business. That's... No one wants to see that. The one that used to be called Shitho. Is it a decent play rate, decent win rate? I feel like his win rate in G3 RTA would be lower than that, so I kind of do want to look it up. It's actually higher. Wow, impressed. Impressed. Okay, so it's not that bad actually. 77. Would not say it's as good as the 80s, but 77 feels fair for Mr. Shiho. Xingzi. I would say arguably a decent counter into Oliver, but mostly it doesn't really make to be a good counter into Oliver. Why the fuck would you have a good win rate into Marsha? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Maybe Marsha has issues killing it, I don't know. Xingzi 42 in G3. Maybe I should de-room mine as well. That's fucking... I think I'm generous with a 65. I think I'm generous with a 65. Okay, continue on with the rest of the monkey business. Qingtian de Shun. Qingtian de Shun. Probably high, relatively high pick rate. Win rate has been getting lowered a bit. I think Masha is one of those issues for him. But still pretty solid units. Pretty solid units. I would say 90 still. Because I think it's still the best AOECC unit in the game. Even though he has more struggles with AOECCing these days, it is still the best AOECC unit in the game. Because it has most cycling, most debuffs, most annoying shit. I would say 90, yeah. And then, for some whatever reason, a few people are playing enough with, oh, in this case it's not there. In this case it is. Apparently people ban it, I don't know. People play with the Dark Monkey. Oh, let's see what his win rate is in this. Allow. Here it has low win rate, so it's just a bunch of G3 people sniping with that shit. Wow, his best win rate against something is minus 50%. Terrible, inconsistent piece of shit unit. But since it's 1%, I'm gonna place it over here. Does it also help if I do this that it gets buffed? I don't think so, right? No, in all honesty, it's not bad. It can do some things, but it's just inconsistent as fuck. I've seen some people put it to Swift so you can potentially stun things. Actually, How to Play also used that, and then he stunned my whole team on a 75% check with a 15 checker on top of that, plus high resistance units. I don't know. Also, his S2 is very shit. If the S2 actually did damage by HP and was stripping more than one thing, it would be nice as well, but I feel like 65 is the best I can give you, you ass monkey. Eshir is something some people have been using as well. As a first turner. Apparently it's not that great of a first turner. Eludia, Jara are also not really used, so I'm not gonna place those in. Chiwu. Chiwu. It's getting back a little bit because counter verts and those kind of things are a little bit a thing of the. Well, it's still there. It's not really a thing of the past, but Chiwu's getting back in line a little bit. Good of a last pick though in most cases, I would say. Or a later pick at least. It's not like season 15 where you can like second pick Chiwu and it will be Gucci. We'll continue on with Wusa. Wusa's pretty high on the pick rate. Yeah, I'm not sure if the absorb is something that would really help in general, but it's a something. Wusa is 25% pick rate and a 50 win rate, 50.70, so it's a high 50. I feel like Wusa's pretty nice in general. Nothing too crazy, but very solid unit, so solid 80 for me on the Wusa. Vert 80, I haven't seen Vert yet. I guess Vert is somewhere at the bottom. Is he though? Let's first finish those Pioneers. Is Nigang used enough? I don't think so. Nigang was hit pretty hard by the nerf on the S2. 0.6 is not enough, I would say. Some of those, yeah, let's just place Dimmer. This is just one of those very niche units that can work sometimes. Battle picks him sometimes. Yeah, it's not really something. Bunsa though. Bunsa. Below 50 win rate. Wow, interesting. Does it also have below 50 win rate on this? There it was. Yeah, wow. Below 50 win rate for both the Bunsa. Wow. I do feel Bunsa's still pretty good, but yeah, are there that many other things that just counter Bunsa? Well, more really counters Bunsa as well, which is also a pretty shit thing. Plus having no will runes. I think it wouldn't be bad if Bunsa always did the boost, no matter strip or not. But I would still say Bunsa's good. 80. Or 85. No, it's not as good as NFTs these days, no. No. Where is Vert? Should I be looking at Vert already? Or is it somewhere down the bottom? It should be pretty early, actually. Or is it by name Vampire all the way at the bottom? Yeah, no, okay. We'll get there. We will get there. Chimera family. Did I miss that? I think I did miss Chimera family. Where the freak is the Chimera family? Am I blind or should I be at the sea? Battle Angels too. I did miss Battle Angels on purpose. Wait, there's no Chimeras on this? After Chiu? Wait, where? I don't see him. Oh, they're also somewhere at the bottom. Oh, here. Wow, that's an odd place. Okay. Whoever made that list doesn't know the alphabet, but sure thing. Okay, we continue on and we have Polar Queens, which we start off with a Tiana. Tiana S2 is so good right now. Decent win rate. I think highest win rate together is with the Nefties or something. Oh, it's not even that. Yeah, Nefties is a good win rate. Tiana. I would say Tiana is a solid 77.5. It is something you need to invest a good amount of Swift and a Nem set into to make it work. But I do feel like it's stronger than these units out there because you can more or less spam it if it's like fitting in your kit. Elanoa. 1.8% play rate with a low 49 win rate. Not a unit we see all too much being used, but I would say it's not bad as well. 75 for Eleanor. Now, Lydia, I don't think Lydia has that much of RTA related stuff. I think Eleanor is 85. I'm not sure. Okay, let's reconsider. Why would Eleanor be 85? She's pretty good, but she's she's too much in a position where she does nothing by herself. That's the kind of my issue on her. Like, a lot of units could do better than what she does, or similar or better. I would say 77.5 is fair, because she's better than these picks. That's true. But I'm not sure about 85 on her. It's good base speed, yes, but you do need like she kind of fills a slot which... Like, she's not a bruiser like a Shizuka, for example, because Shizuka actually provides things for a bruiser fight. She is actually only used into fights against enemies without any immunity, otherwise she's shit. But without any immunity, you have a lot of options of things that are good. So, therefore, she's not that unique in being good into not having any immunity on the field. And that's my issue with her. Because if there's no immunity on the field, many things are good. And she shines when there's no immunity on the enemy side. So, well, if there's no immunity on the enemy side, you fuck them up anyways. I think she just works with CP more. Yes, but she's also highly fucked by a Juno, for example. Juno, Masha, that kind of stuff. I think it kind of fucks her up pretty badly. So I wouldn't say that much higher in current meta. 77, I think is good. Lydia's not really used. Rakan. People were really hyped about the Rakan buff. And now we didn't see all too much Rakan. 1% pick rate exactly. Huh. I think she boosts attack bar. She doesn't give 100%, or she doesn't give an insta turn. I think no unit gives insta turns to other units. They only take insta turns. But Rakan is 1% pick rate, so I guess we place him in. I'm surprised Sekhmet is above Leo. Sekhmet is not above Leo, they're on the same tier. But Rakan, I would say 70 for me. I feel like Rakan can do work, but he's not as crazy good. Theor is something we seeing fading away as well. Yeah, it's not been picked as much. Probably just a Dom and a Oliver issue, I guess. This one as well. Sean. Sean is actually pretty nice, because you can build it very tanky. And you will always crit on the S2 anyways, so you just build crit damage. And it does AoE stun without touching units, which is niche implications for things. So I would say Sean is not bad. I would say 80. It's kind of on the tier like a Savannah, like a Charlotte, that kind of stuff. It's kind of like similar things. Zeratul, I actually don't like Zeratul that much. Zeratul requires a lot of rune investment to do not that much and then die to a fucking Dom probably. So the rune investment on the Zeratul is pretty high to make him work like okay to good. So therefore I would say Zeratul is a 70. No, I actually would say Zeratul is a 70. I don't really feel like Zeratul is on like a Bella level or that kind of stuff. Base speed is also pretty terrible, I agree. These are not used, these are not used, these are most definitely used. Douglas, I think I can find Douglas in here. Douglas already found. Douglas win rate has been dropping some. He's 4% pick rate, but his win rate is a 47.5. I would still say Douglas in the correct draft, placed on the right thing, is very strong. And I would say it's stronger than Antares and pretty much stronger than these things here. It's more of a must ban than these things over there in most cases, I would say. Yeah, ban rate's pretty freaking high. Then we go on with a more. Fucking more. Give me fucking more. More is... wait, I thought there was more win rate for a second. But more win rate is close to 50, 49.66 on a 37.5 pick rate, which is very high, I would say. After being nerfed and people were like, oh my god, unit's gonna be unusable, it was still very high. I would say at least 80, but no, I'm gonna say 85 on more. Yeah, at least 85. Wouldn't say higher than 85. I would say that Omniyoji is actually better than this. Yeah, Omniyoji is better than this. It's crazy as a brooder. Is it better than Han? Yeah, because Han is very straightforward, where Omniyoji has the passive, and passives are always annoying. So I would say 1 up for Omniyoji, and more we would place on the 85. Would I place him higher? What's Jaeger pick rate or win rate? Too low to place in, that's all I can tell you. I don't really know exactly. I think it was a below 50 win rate, and it was a pick rate below 1, like a 0.5% or so. We continue on with Kashmir. No one uses this thing. Talisman, yeah, no one uses. Van Cliff. I do see some people using Van Cliff actually. I have no clue what the win rate would be on a Van Cliff. It's not that bad, but pick rate is not really seen, so it doesn't really matter as a unit. We move on to Okeanos. And Okeanos, strangely enough, is used by some of the very high-end players, but they have like crazy... What? Okay, this is just 1 or 2 players like spamming the shit out of Okeanos with insane speed sets and insane additional damage sets. So, wouldn't really value Okeanos that much, but I guess he's kind of making a comeback. I would say 80. Maybe he's making... Is he as good as Carnal right now, though? I'm not sure. He does have the value of the S2, which I feel like is pretty nice, actually. Maybe I should rune up Okeanos again. No, I'm gonna lower Okeanos. Let's see what Okeanos says on this one. Well, they're no longer really used for the same purpose. That's what I would say. Because Okeanos has the S2 strip. It's inconsistent, but it is the S2 strip. It's still pretty nice. But yeah, I would say over here. Omniyoji better than CP. They're very different. They're not really necessarily comparable, but I would say Omniyoji is more deadly than a CP in most cases. Would I like to 1-up CP? Let me recheck the win rate or the pick rate. So Brux, how are you doing, man? Pick rate is very high of CP. Plus you have CP on despairs these days, which is very good. I'm gonna 1-up this CP. I feel like that's fair. But then I feel like I would have to 1-up more things. Like Monkey King not better than Pra? No, I feel like Pra is very good into countering countering the current meta. Yeah, Despair CP makes CP being better. Omniyoji 1-up? No, I think he's fair than 90. His win rate is not that crazy these moments. But I'm thinking about Narsha, I think is fine at the 85. But I'm also thinking about Neftis for the 1-up. Yeah, I think about Neftis for the 1-up as well. Yeah. Yep. Sean 1-up. Wait, where did I play Sean? Sean 80. I feel like Sean is kind of in the same tier as like the Charlotte and the Savannah and those kind of things. We continue on with a Poseidon. Something I can find pretty easily in here. Oh yeah, that's fucking terrible to see. I think this is Pontus, but that's very fucking difficult to see in that one. Poseidon. Poseidon 50.69 and a 2.6 on the pick rate. Poseidon. Well, it's for sure better than a Ferrat. That's 100% sure. I would say Poseidon is 77.5. Good, solid last pick. And is it better than Eureka? It kind of depends on your draft, like what you're drafting. If you're playing more AOECC, Poseidon has higher value than Rika, otherwise it would be like similar level. So for that reason, I'm just gonna play as a similar level. We continue on with a Triton. 75 becoming new, or 77.5 becoming new 75. Kind of. Okay, Triton. I feel like Triton is a good last pick, but it's nothing that crazy. You still have like counterverts and shit fucking you up. Yeah, you have good base speed on it, but that's about it. There's plenty of units with good base speed. Then we have the one and only Pandas, which I did find here earlier. Pandas. 52. I'm actually surprised Pandas is that high because Juno and Praha, which were my main counters to Pandas, got hella buffed. And Pandas still going strong, yes. So for that reason, I would say Pandas 85, Pandas 80. The win rate is high, but the pick rate is pretty low. Are we gonna go for an in-betweener? I feel like Pandas is better than a bunch of these units here on the list. A whole bunch. I feel like it's better. Yeah, I think. Yeah, no. I would say 85. 85 is fine. 85 is 65. And I feel like a 1-on-1 minus SMA. Main reason is that she's a fucking passive totem and does nothing 9 out of 10. Oh, that's the main thing. And if people don't draft Potato into Seimei, it's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna 1 minus Seimei. Okay, Mananana, no one uses. The Ren? Is someone actually using Ren? 0.5%. It's not that much. Not that much. Minato, some people are using. Apparently Minato is a counter to Gurkha, which is currently one of the highest units in the field. But it's not really being used, so I'm not gonna place it in. Shun and Ritsu, same thing. Not really being used. Wow. Glorious, stop feeding. Not sure who this is, but stop feeding as well. Someone mentioned Molong being too low. Molong is at the 80. I feel like Molong is not much. Is it better than the things in 85? The win rate of Molong is relatively low. That's my reason why he's like somewhat lower than I would have first placed him in like my own thought. Let's say SWC tournament wise, Molong is picked quite a bunch more than most units where he's around. Plus he has like this threat potential. Well, I feel like Molong maybe has like a 1-up in that. Because of the threat potential in the draft. Molong is a dangerous unit in the draft because you always feel like, ooh, if Molong goes, it goes. Where's Dominic? Not on the field yet. Yeah, I'll 1-up the Mo. It's one of those threat potentials rather than being like an insane good unit. It's like a threat good unit. We continue on with Yan Hong, which in current meta actually has a lower win rate than I expected, just a 50. And I'm actually surprised about Yan Hong being a 50. Maybe she's over spammed, that could be a thing. But I feel like Yan Hong is super strong. Like at least 90 strong. But I would say 92. Yeah, I think that's fair for Yan Hong. I don't know who's inting this fucking win rate, but technically she's same level as Lima. Would I put her same level as Lima? In my honesty, I feel like Yan Hong is the best unit you can put your fastest runes on. Like by far. And if you check like the best players out there, like a bunch of them, do kind of shine with their Yan Hong, like the guy that's called Yan Hong and shit. Yeah, so I feel like Yan Hong is very strong in current meta, and I don't know why the win rate is low. Fuck you people inting with Yan Hong. I also feel like a lot of people are inting with Yan Hong for doing S2 and not just boosting with S3 first. I'm not sure, but I've seen a lot of S2s miss. So I feel like the better option in most cases is go for the safe play and go for S3 first and then do S2. Because if you S2, you have like, I don't know, it's like, I think like a 35 to 40% chance to miss or something. Like the odds of it missing, like through all resistance checks and blah 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 activation checks, I think it's like 35 to 40. So with Yan Hong over File, yeah, I would definitely go Swift Yan Hong. You are wasting your S3, yes, but I think it's a way safer play. And we continue on with, well, John, I think no one really uses, right? Bombers are not really a thing of current meta. Apparently 1.2. Oh wait, I forgot Woolyong as well. But I feel like this is... I don't like John. I don't like the bombers that much. It's just... I don't know. But I want to see Woolyong as well. Woolyong is probably all the way down somewhere. It's not picked as much, but I feel like Woolyong can have... Oh, it's actually more picked than I thought. Win rate is kind of lowish though. But it is a speed booster, attack bar booster with speed lead. And I would say pairing Woolyong together with Dominic, very deadly. So, but apparently the win rate is pretty garbage. And maybe it's kind of countered by Oliver having a better speed lead, but I would say 77. 77 health for William. We continue on with Miles. Miles is very much picked and is very much shining mainly because of Masha being overspammed and Shizuka being overspammed. Win rate is still somewhat on the lower side, but I didn't respect Miles at the start as much, but I feel like Miles is pretty freaking strong. Yeah, I would say 85 at least for a Miles. I wouldn't go higher than that, but would I say 90 on the Miles? No, I wouldn't say 90 on the Miles. It is solid. It's not that solid. Then we continue on with everyone's favorite, Oliver. So many people want me to place Oliver over there just to get it another nerf, but personally I don't agree. I feel like Oliver is annoying, but you get more and more options to get it countered. And therefore Oliver is still very strong, but I wouldn't say it's the strongest out there. But for his first pick potential, I kind of want to place it 95, but for his first pick potential, I will place it on this. But is that fair compared to how much lower? Yeah, he does better than Nana. He's better than Nana, yeah. And his win rate is pretty positive for being first pick that much. Yeah, I feel like Oliver on this this is a solid set. We continue on with the one that was next to Oliver, Daniel. Damn, Daniel, with the shoes. 24 lead for Oliver, would that be fair? Yeah, I guess so, I guess so. I feel like he would still be fine on the 24. Jackson. It is a 1% picker with a 50% win rate, which is nice. I feel like Jackson is somewhat overspammed by people just saying like, oh, I got Oracles, Invert, and then a Jackson and it works. I would say Jackson as a counter pick has a lot of potential. I fought one Jackson earlier today. The only issue is he's also just a passive totem. His S2 is inconsistent. His S1 doesn't do jack shit. He has no damage like Miles, so he's kind of a passive totem. Like you might as well fucking ruin him on I don't know, triple fight or something. So I would say he's kind of like next to the other passive totem. Same way, yeah, I think that's fair. How is his ban rate? Is his ban rate insanely high? Okay, ban rate is pretty high though. But he counters like Chunk Pong, Carnal more. He does counter a whole bunch of like hard meta. No, he actually counters a lot of meta stuff. Okay, I'm gonna value him higher for countering a lot of meta stuff. Tablo, yeah, it does counter Tablo. That one's very funny. But the main issue is he's nothing more than a passive. And passive and an occasional stun. And that just makes units really shit. Like, sure, his passive is really good, but the rest of the kit is absolutely garbage. So that's just, it really devalues a unit in general. So it's really about not this unit, it's about this unit, and it's like a 3v4 with like a passive on the field. That's yeah. Yeah, is what it is. I feel like he's fine like that. Then we continue on with Carnal. Wait, no, I placed Bison, right? Yeah, I placed Bison, so I don't need to place Slayers. Then Carbine. I just want to place Carbine. Do you actually have enough? Fuck Carbine. I used Carbine a lot in the Moor meta. It was actually pretty interesting and funny, but it's nowhere as good anymore. Douglas, I already placed the others, so I don't have to place these. These are not really used. These are not really used. Riley. Riley is used a lot. What's the pick rate on Riley? Riley pick rate is 14.5 with a 47 wins, 47.5, which is not that much. I feel like Riley is one of those units that does better in lower ranks than in higher ranks, but still is a nice unit. Let's say 77.5. I think it's worse than Busan, that kind of stuff. Icarus. To be honest, I don't really like Icarus that much. Like, legit, Icarus does as much damage on the S3 as Dom does every turn. Like, who gives a fuck? But since people tend to still use it, and it's close to 1% pick rate, I can place it in. But it's not too much of a unit of my liking. It will be like a 70-ish. Yeah, there's too many. Like, Miles does her damage, but consistent. That's kind of the thing. These two are freaking rockery as well. No one likes those. Icarus should be an HP unit. Yeah, maybe cool time reduce on the S3, something like that. There's a bunch of options. Helena, I'm actually curious about that Helena because I feel like Helena can be good as that's a person. That's a pony. Okay, win rate is pretty high, and what I expected is a Leo counter. And being a Leo counter is not bad in current meta, I would say. So, wait, where the frick the pony? Your pony. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's also not bad. So 70 for me. I would say that Ken is still a better Leo count because it just actually destroys things. Water Totemist was used. Fucking Delphoy was used. Okay. That's I lie. How do you write water potato? I don't even know how you write this thing. Totem is water. Alaya. Shit. Well, yeah, I want to see. Fucking sulky unit, man. Imagine that you banning this unit, holy fuck. When you have Shizuka in your own field, man, you could have AoE'd fucking Oblivion. I'm gonna ban it. What? How? Why? When? Where are potatoes? Okay, Diana. Diana's falling out of meta as well, with the good reason of Masha and Dominic. Still 11, it's not bad. 11 pick rate, 49 on the win rates. Diana's still a solid 77.5. It's still a really good counter pick. I have Light Totemist set. Understandable to be sad about that one. But a lot of us have that one unit that we get sad about. Mine is Zomzong. Nora. Oh, Nora. Another unit I really like. Because I never really struggle with it. And apparently with me, many others also don't really struggle. But it has a 1% pick rate, so we're going to place that one in. Nora. So this is for Upsa. I placed Nora at a 70. I'm sorry. I don't like the unit that much. It's good with Nyx. It's better on the 70 as well. And then you get fucked by a Juno, and then you're gonna hate your life. We actually had someone in Europe Cup. Was it Kelbo? I think it was Kelbo. He was playing pretty well with Alexandra. And I feel like Alexandra is also a unit that's kind of been slept on. I feel like Alexandra's pretty nice. Sup Thompson, how you doing, man? Preparing for SWC. But I feel like people sleep on Alexandra. Sure, it's not the best of all units like out there, but I feel like it's a solid pick, like a solid 75. How was that other pony called? Unicorn. Unicorn Light. I always mix up these names. Alan. Oh yeah, okay, whatever. It's low on the pick rate though. It is low on the pick rates. But I feel like as a last pick, especially in the meta where a bunch of things still kind of rely on crits and shit, it's not that bad, 70. Amelia's worse. So we have those no one really uses. Vanessa. Nessa. The 33 lead, that is pretty low win rate. Sad. That is actually sad. To be honest, I kind of like Nessa. But apparently she's the same win rate as a Bison. But I would value Vanessa higher. Yeah, Vanessa 75 for me. We are entering the end of the list. Trinity, Foshen, yay, 100. I want to see what the win rate is. 50. You shouldn't complain. Fucking 50 win rate. 50 win rate. OP unit. What the fuck? What do you mean? I'm not gonna even place it in. I'm gonna have him let the satisfaction me actually care about the unit. Chroma. Chroma, decent-ish. Oh, it has a good win rate into Sierra. Yeah, that makes sense because the unit's shit. Good win rate into Masha. Interesting. Sure. I feel like Chroma is still decent to a certain amount, but it's not as good as used to be. I would say 77.5 for my Chroma. We continue on with a Verdi Limovic. Verdi is high pick rate, high win rate. How about G3 pick rates and win rates on Mr. Verd? Verd is used less in G3 with also a lesser win rate. People got used to the triple revenge Verds and the Swift Verds. But still Verd is solid, 77.5. Yeah, the 77.5 is the new 75, kinda. I place everything in there. We continue on with Julian. I saw Julian all the way at the bottom here for pick rate, if I'm not mistaken. Also win rate pretty shit. But it's 1.6 though. So we're gonna place in the Julian, but Julian is as fun as a 65, I would say. Then we have Cadiz Nuts, which is a fucking solid unit. I've seen people running triple revenge on Cadiz Nuts. It's annoying as fuck. You get branded and stripped the whole fucking time. Cadiz is fucking good in my opinion. But not fucking good like all the way up here fucking good, but I would say 90 good. Cadiz Nuts is actually very nutty. Like, the moment he starts revenging and Vio-procking, it's really annoying. It's also one of those units that really shines with good runes. So he actually does damage, he does good healings and that kind of shit. Imagine my triple revenge set of my Lima on like these nuts. Whew. Big V has a 280. You have like 290 sets for breakfast, man. You're faster than that. You beat him easily, Toms. I think I would swap him for Ragdoll. Nah, I feel like Ragdoll's still 92.5. Ragdoll's still 92.5. Says tough age. Thompson, you're gonna win, and otherwise we're gonna drink it on a Long Island. That's all we're doing. Or me drinking another 2 Long Islands because you give yours away. Oh, still good story. Okay, that's for Cadiz Nuts. We continue on with Liam. No, wait, it's Mr. Family. It's time for Family. Toretto. No, I'm not gonna place him all the way there, but placeholder all the way there. 50.5. So he's actually been nerfed. He has been nerfed quite a bit through his latest nerf. Which is interesting because I barely remembered at some point that he did that shit what he did. But I would say Dom is 95 for me. It's not as good as Oliver. Is it better than Masha though? Nah, I think Dom is 92. Because Dom is still heavily fucked by pushback, stuns, that kind of shit. So Dom has his own counter. I'm not sure what's better, Dom or Masha. Shizuka, yeah, I would say these three are pretty on par with one another. So I think it's pretty fair to put them same tier as one another. Thompson has the rematch of Big V Thompson in the first round. But you have losers bracket, man. You can make it. Not that you need losers bracket, but Big V can make it through the losers bracket. So we have Benedict, the new newcomer of Bash. Bash pulled a Benedict. Bash, it's a good unit. No one uses it, but it's good. Okay, I'm not gonna place that in. No one fucking uses this. Maximilian. More stress in the losers bracket. Exactly, so you have to stress for another week. I was so happy I didn't have to play losers bracket, man. Did you watch losers bracket of APAC? Which one? Yeah, no, losers bracket of APAC, they have to win 4 matches. Did you see Second Baby won 4 matches in a row? I think Skid did it once and he won like 8-0. Like he won all matches 2-0. I think what's either Skid or Matsu. One of the two won like straight losers bracket like 8-0. But Thompson, you're gonna make it, man. Confidence. Winner's mentality. Yeah, Richard. Richard also did have to win 4. And Second Baby also won 4. But yeah, Maximilian, looking at this, it's a worse Nefties. And it's very squishy. It's a like 100 times harder to rune Nefties, more or less. So it's not bad, but I feel like a lot of people overvalue Maximilian. He's not bad, but he's like, I don't know. 77 for Maximilian for me. So then I think we are through Eshir. Something some people still use. They don't use Eshir. 5% pick rate with a 49. Or yeah, pretty much 49. I want to see how much it is in this one. I think it will be lower. Eshir, yeah, in G3, Eshir is somewhat lower. It's this weird attempts to try to outspeed, but most of the time doesn't really work. Also, people don't put their best runes towards Eshir, otherwise Eshir might outspeed. So I would say it kind of depends on your draft, but I would say Eshir 75. It does really depend on your draft, but I feel like people are not really putting too great runes towards Eshir, so it's not really working that well. Still 75 is fine. Okay, that's fine. So then we have, I'm gonna do Veronica last. Destiny, which has the coolest S3 in the whole fucking game, in my opinion. Where is Destiny, or is it barely used? Fucking websites were not loading. Destiny. What? Destiny's such a low pick rate, right? I still feel like Destiny is one of the coolest units in the game. And it has the potential to one-shot Onimusha and that kind of shit, which I think is very fucking cool. But apparently, it's probably as good as a 75. Maybe 77.5. But probably still 75. And then we have the final units of the tier list. The final unit of the tier list. The water one, no one's really using the water one. Veronica, which has a clear 60% win rate in the 4v4. I've never seen a unit have 60% win rate that's like 5% pick rate as well. That's just fucking insane. Like an insane ban rate and everything. So on stream I said before that I would do the following. This. And I think it's fair as well. I think it is fucking fair. And this is the very first time that I ever did that. She is so fucking busted that she's like Gianna with an S2 that does more damage AoE based off speed. Her S3 doesn't care if you have immunity or not. Preferably not, because you have 2 resistance checks, but still. Her S3 is on a lower cooldown than Gianna S3. It's 1 turn less. Her S1 is kind of shitty, but the S2 does an insane amount of damage, and the S3 is like, oh, you proc out of your... Oh, wait, you still don't have skills? Fuck you. Oh, hey, gang! Oh, fuck you. Oh, you have, like, base speed and shit. Fuck you. It's like everything, man. It's base speed. It's like Gianna that would put an AoE bomb and have 2 turns stun and a higher base speed. And then always stun. That's kind of the thing that you would be looking at. And then a 2-turn activation rate. But she has the double activation rate. Sure, that's slightly an issue. But I think the reason why Veronica isn't on even higher win rate is because people don't make her swift. If you make Veronica swift, she's also so fucking easy to build. Gianna, you need like the crit rate, you need like the HP, the defense, the attack, everything. Veronica, a little bit of accuracy and just fucking fast. Just fast and a bit of tank. You're like, fuck it. Like, by all means, you could even go 100 rest on that unit. Wouldn't do that. It is hard countered by Juno and Fire-Ryu, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But then again, so many units are. So, I don't know. How long is this video already? 2 hours 15. My tier lists are always way too fucking long. But yeah, we're finished and we didn't even use the bottom few tiers. So I'm actually going to remove them because they look ugly. But yeah, I think this is the finalizing of my tier lists. Sure, Juno and Fire-Ryu counter it, but then you just draft other units that counter that again. Look at the few top players, and there's just a few people that spam Veronica, and it's just the win rate's crazy. Like, sure, everything has its counters, but that's... I think you put Gurkha really high for 5th pick. Tianlang is also 5th pick. I could say Gurkha 1 down and then this 1 down to make it fair, but no, I would say Gurkha's freaking ridiculous. No meme units? No, not today. Not gonna waste my time with meme units. I think I fit in everything that I wanted to fit in. And if I missed something, well, fuck that. Yeah, Gurkha's just fucking busted, man. Gurkha, I don't know, man. He's going to solo your team even if he's like half HP or like 10% HP. Exodia 1 unit, yeah, exactly. Like, how many units can actually solo whole teams effectively often? Like, Douglas could, kind of, but not really. Yeah, I'm gonna end my video here with this.